This is a basic infinite colony setup for lightning build users, especially focused on early to mid-game players, and you can see the build in here right now. There's a lot of small tweaks, modifications, variations that you can use in this build. I will go through those in this video, so I recommend you to listen carefully. The information presented in here is also based on the free auto battle lightning setup video that I made earlier. I recommend watching that one first to get the basic concept of how lightning build works. But right now, let's tackle the build and the variations you can do in here. The 4 damage dealers of this build are the same as you use in your free auto battle waving setup, with the only exception that we are using the blue defender promotion instead of the red defender promotion. Now this makes our thunder towers a little bit weaker for this build, but the increased castle defense and castle HP is a crucial thing you will want to have in your infinite colony builds, because you are constantly being bombarded by the enemy attacks. Now if you can survive without the increased HP and defense, then you can use the red defender promotion for a little increased damage, but I would recommend the blue defender promotion for infinite colony builds instead of the red defender one. And this brings us to our first variation of this build. If you are past your early game and your thunder towers are not really doing that damage anymore, in that case you can drop stone from the build and you can put in dark assassin. Dark assassin will be your 4th damage dealer for full lightning setup after early and mid game. Also, this is an option for earlier game as well, in case you have purchased the 13th hero slot, in which case you can take stone and put him in the 13th hero slot and put dark assassin to where stone is right now in this build. Your basic idea of the infinite colony build is that you are constantly trying to freeze the enemies and apply knockback to them to push them back towards the enemy castle so that they can storm your castle instead, while your damage dealers are dealing damage to the monsters, killing them and also damaging the castle, eventually claiming the win for you. And we have Ice Sorcerer in here for the freezing. If you can get Ice Sorcerer's cooldown to be lower than Pure Wizard, that's going to be beneficial for you. That's a thing you can try to achieve. And for the knockback, we have 3 different units in this build. We have the Giant Ogre, the Mechanic Ram, and Slingers. Now this will apply a lot of knockback to the enemy ground monsters. You will see the battle in a moment. And same as Ice Sorcerer, if you can get Giant Ogre's cooldown to be lower than Pure Wizard, that's going to be beneficial for you. So you will want cooldown items on both Ice Sorcerer and Giant Ogre. For Mech Ram, you will want mainly knockback items, and for Slingers, a mix of knockback and stun, depending what you are. Basically, you can use the same items as you use in your waving build as well, if you're using Slingers in your waving build. And now this brings us to another types of variations you can try for yourself for this build, and this involves the Slingers. Now we do not have the bar building behind our castle for this build right now. The reason for that is because we have the tower that will boost the thunder towers damage. Now if you are past that early game point where thunder towers are not that great anymore, you can also drop the tower building and take in the bar instead, which will allow you to have 10 Slingers instead of 5. Which is of course a lot more crowd control again applied to the ground monsters. And if you think of the very early parts of the game where you still wanna keep tower in this build, you can also try someone else in here instead of Slingers. For example, you can try Dorothy if you happen to get great knockback staff, for example, in your early game. You can try Dorothy in here instead, or any kind of like ranged units that would apply knockback and stun to enemy monsters, so that's also an option. Eventually you will want Slingers because of the Slinger piercing node in the skill tree. I will go to the skill tree in a moment. For the healing, we have Dark Elf, Stoss, and the Altar of Healing to take care of our healing needs throughout the colony run. And for Stoss, I'm using this promotion for this account. I found out that the Stoss works better for this account. You can test for yourself if the Smith promotion or the Stoss promotion is better. They are basically the same, except the other one has more cooldown and more healing, and the other has lower cooldown and lower amount of healing. Test for yourself which promotion of these is better for you. For the empty castle pass slot, you can use whichever you have on the highest level. If you have leveled something else apart from these, you can put it in there. It won't make a huge difference, so if you don't have anything, don't stress, you can leave this empty like I have in here. And the same applies to the extra tower slots as well. You can use something else in here if you have leveled something, but towers are not really great for damage apart from the thunder tower for your early game, so you could also just leave them empty as well. It won't make a huge difference. Defensive barracks, for example, is something you can use in here without the need of really leveling it. It just gives you a couple of extra bodies in the field. And if you have been leveling your town archers in early game for damage, then you can also pick the town cannons and use them in your infinite colony run. This is also an option you can do if you have been leveling your town archers for damage, and in this case you will want to try and include Dark Hunter and Dark Skeleton in your build if possible. It's very much easier if you had 13 hero slot, in which case you can just put one of them in here, and then you want to drop one unit from this build possibly it could be one of the 3 knockback units. You can see for yourself which one applies the least amount of ground control for you throughout your waves, and try dropping that one. If it doesn't work, drop someone else and try again. And then for the treasures, we are using this kind of a setup right here for this build right now. The cursed knife is in here to boost the town cannons damage. Now, if you have not leveled town archers, town cannons for damage, you can also pick the frozen bow and use your unleveled town archers to apply more slow to the crowd mode. So it might help a little bit with crowd control. You can again test this one for yourself. For the rest of these treasures, the first 2 are crucial ones you always want to have in this build. So you always want to have the web for increased castle range defense to help you survive longer, and you will want to have the power claw, which is the greatest offensive treasure in the game, to boost your overall damage of this build, making your kills faster, and also boosting Dark Elf's damage so she can apply more healing for you throughout your run. And what comes for these 2 other options in here, we have the Sharp Arrow in here to boost the critical chance. This also boosts your damage output. And also we have the Unicorn Shield, which is the second best defensive option you can have in your build to also help you survive longer. Now, if you do not need extra defense, if you can survive with just the web, then you can put in, for example, the Frozen Heart, which will increase your damage against frozen monsters. Now, you are constantly freezing enemies with your Ice Sorcerer, so every time they are frozen, they will be taking increased damage. This will mean you can clear them out faster, which will mean you can deal more damage to the castle faster, which means you can clear your Infinite Colony runs faster. But if you can't survive, then you will want to have extra defense in here instead. Another option in here is also, and this is more for towards later game, is to use the Black Pearl treasure so that you can have another leader slot in here. And this is mainly just so you can fit a couple of more E-tier items for your build with a cooldown skill level +1 line. So if you have extra cooldown skill level +1 lines you can put in there, then you can use the Black Pearl. Otherwise, I would not recommend using the Black Pearl, and you should use a defensive treasure or the Frozen Heart instead. And then the final option, like if these 2 defensive treasures are not enough for you, you can also try if, for example, putting in the Bottomless Red Potion will help you survive longer and help you clear that Infinite Colony run. This will mean you are a little bit weaker throughout your run, but you will have more HP, and that means you will also get more healing from your Stoss every time he is cast. So this is also an option you can try and experiment with, but I would recommend starting with this setup and see how you can do with it. And then finally the skill tree before we engage in a combat with the colonies and see how we fare in there. For your early game you can basically use the same skill tree as you use for your waving as well, so the full lightning tree to boost your lightning unit's damage. Now if you are also using Dark Assassin, then you can pick these Dark Assassin nodes in here as well. I don't have him in this early game build, so I have left these points out. From down here, you will want the increased leader damage, and also if your leader keeps on dying during your runs, you can also pick one of these leech nodes as well that will heal your leader, so making him able to stay alive throughout the whole run. If he doesn't die during your runs, then you can skip this node and use the point in somewhere else. And going up in here, you want to have eventually the bow node, and the archery applies to itself. This will boost your Dark Lightning archers damage a little bit. And after this, the next point would be to go again towards the physical skill tree. This is most likely your best option after the lightning tree, because of a couple of reasons actually. First of all, you can get the strafe nodes in here to boost your Dark Lightning archers damage. Secondly, you can get this node over here, which will give you +1 arrow for your Dark Elf. So your Dark Elf can do better job at healing you and keeping you alive for a longer time, so this will also help you a lot. Also, the whole physical tree will boost your Dark Elf's damage because she is of a physical type. And also in here, you can have the increased castle defense and all units defense. This will help you a little bit. And eventually, if you have enough points, you can also get the increased knockback for Giant Ogre if you use Giant Ogre like I have in this build for knockback. Another alternative option, or maybe the thing you can do after the physical tree, is that you go towards your summon tree and get the Slinger's piercing node. Now at this point you will most likely want to have bar in your build as well to get more slingers, to get more piercing and more crowd control through your slingers, but this is something you eventually want to get. And also always pick the sword nodes in every single skill tree you take, because they will increase your whole build's damage a lot. For later game, there's also an option if you can reach this witch node over here that you can include witches in your build. That will increase the damage of your damage dealers, because you will get 5% increased damage for each witch you have in your build. And now then, let's get colonizing. So I'm gonna do a +10 skip on this account and see how this will go. Now in your early game you can also do manualities if you can't spare the time out of battle hours. You maybe have to do like a +5 skip every day or every other day and you will be good to go. So that's also not an issue. It will take a little bit of your time, but eventually you can also use time out battle for this if you can spare the hours. Now I want to say that especially the further and further you get into this game and the higher and higher you try to push your infinite colony levels, the more your items will start to matter. So if you can start farming the legendary dragon, once you eventually can do that, I recommend doing it quite heavily so you can get those sweet L tier items for your units. And having those good items will allow you to push much higher levels on infinite colonies. Also helps you a lot in waves as well than if you don't have those items, especially for example cooldown items for your pure wizard, dark necromancer and stores in here for your healing are extremely crucial to keep you alive throughout your run. And also of course damage items for your damage dealers and knockback and stun items for your crowd controlling units as well. The sum of all of those is what's really important and what's gonna really start to matter, especially the higher and higher you get in this game. We procced our altar, but we should be able to win this battle shortly, and we will take a look at the results as well. There we go. Victory! Yay! Let's go. Let's cancel. We don't want to do another one, and the battle results look like this. So Thor is pulling most of the weight in here for this build right now, followed by Zeus, Thunder Towers, and Dark Lightning Archer. Funny things in here is that my Dark Lightning Archer is the highest level unit I currently have for this account. She is at level 10,000. Whereas Thor is only at level 7,300. Thunder Towers are at 5,000 and Zeus is at 6,000-ish levels. So Dark Lightning Archer is the greatest unit you have against dragons for the lightning build, so she will be a tremendous asset for you, helping you farming the dragons, but in here she will be the fourth one for this build, still helping a lot dealing damage to the enemy castle, so also something you don't want to drop from this build, especially since you already have leveled her. But Thor is extremely great against infinite colonies and also extremely great in waves as well, so one of the MVPs we currently have going for the lightning build. And now that we are here, I want to take a moment to personally thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you so much. I love each and every one of you. Also thank my admin and my moderators in my Discord. Help me keep everything running, help me putting these builds together and so on. Thank you, thank you, thank you. See you in the next one, my friends. Laku out.